Hi guys, it's Chelle here, and as promised, I'm here to teach you a song called Tonight You Belong to Me. This is a song sheet that's contained in your South Central Iowa Strummers songbook, and the song the song sheet comes from the San Jose Ukulele Club, and I will provide a link to that also in this tutorial. Let's talk about how we can learn the song. First, what we're going to do is talk about the strumming pattern. I'm going to try to keep it simple with just down strums, but as we get better with this song, there's definitely going to be other strumming patterns that we can incorporate and kind of change it up a bit. But again, for today's tutorial, let's just keep it very basic, and we're going to do just some simple down strums. Before we get started going through the chords in the song, I'd like you to go ahead and grab your ukulele and go ahead and get your uke tuner and make sure that you're in tune before we begin. Let's talk about the chords that happen in the verse portions of Tonight You Belong to Me. Go ahead and make sure you have your song sheet handy and in front of you. Make sure you have your uke handy too. And let's go ahead and move through each chord that occurs in the verse section of the song. So the first chord we're going to play is the G chord. That's followed by G7, and then C, and then C minor, and I'm doing a little mini bar for the C minor chord, and then back to a G, a D, a G sus4, a G sus4, and a G. The next line is another G, then a G7, a C minor, a G, a D, and a G, another G sus4, back to G, and then a G7, and then a G7 sus4, and then a G7. You may be saying, what are the G sus whatevers? So if you take a look back again at your chord chart, you'll see the G sus4, and then you'll also see the G7 sus. Even though the chord fingerings that's shown here will work for you, I would like to show you a little tip on how to make it easier to move your fingers around, going from G to G sus4 and then G7 to G7 sus. Having said that, let's go first back to the G, and when it calls for a G sus4, just leave your G the way that it is, take your finger or your pinky finger and just drop them down right below on the 3rd fret on that first string. That's your G sus4. G sus4. Okay? For the G7 sus, you make your G7. And again, Mr. Pinky Guy is coming in again, and we're going to put him right back down in that same spot where he was. So it's going to be the first string of the 3rd fret. So G7, drop the pinky down, G7 sus. G7, drop the pinky down onto the 3rd fret of the first string, and you got G7 sus. Okay, so we covered those chords that fall in the verse section of Tonight You Belong to Me. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the bridge sections of the song. The first chord that occurs in the bridge is going to be the C minor, and again I'm going to use the mini bar to make the C minor chord. The next chord is a G, followed by E7, A7, and then D7. Let's take a look at the first transition that occurs, which is in the second line of the verse, verse 1 rather. In that second line of the verse, you'll see that it goes from a G to a D, back to a G, to the G sus4, G, and then back to the G sus4, and back to the G. So I'd like to show you how I'm addressing this, or playing it rather, in the song. So I'm just going to play that one line. But tonight you belong to me. So I'm going G, G sus4, G, G sus4, G. I'll do it again. Second line I'm going to play in verse number 1. But tonight you belong to me. Another part of the song where we encounter that kind of funny chord progressions going on is going to find itself in the last line of the verse. So if you look at verse number 1 in the last line, let's read through those chords together. It says G, D, G, G sus4, G, G7, G7 sus4, and I don't think they mean G7 sus4. I'm pretty certain that they mean G7 sus, because if you look back in the chord chart, there is a G7 sus. There is no G7 sus4 listed in any of this. So I'm just going with that. So we're just going to stick with G7 sus. So looking at that last line again, after the G7 sus, it goes back to G7. Here's what it sounds like when I play it. And tonight you belong to me. So those kind of happen pretty quickly. Let's take a look at it again. I'll play it the last line again so you can hear what I'm doing. And tonight you belong to me. I know you belong to somebody new, but tonight you belong to me. Although we're apart, you're a part of my heart, and tonight you belong to me. Way down by the stream, how sweet it will seem once more, just a dream in the moonlight. My honey, I know with the dawn that you'll be gone, but tonight you belong to me. Way down by the stream, how sweet it will seem once more, just a dream